Welcome back, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Ed Talk TV, Conversations Worth Having. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Some of you had a 4-day weekend, some had a 3-day weekend. Maybe you only had a 2-day weekend. That's okay. We took all 4 days off, so that's why we're back and we're excited to be here with you guys. If this is your first time tuning into the show, please be sure to let us know in the comments. Not just me, but everyone else who is a regular wants to know who you are and what you're up to. So let us know in the comments, even if you're watching the replay. I know I get a lot of replay viewers, and a lot of you will listen to just the audio because you're helping out with, the kids, and you're making dinner, and you're doing whatever else, working out in the gym, all that good stuff. So when you have time, make sure to take a second and drop some comments in the comments below. I know that's kind of weird how I said that, but whatever. We're going to roll with it. So real quick, before we jump into today's show, I want to give those who are new some background. I'm your host, Ed, and I help you with building your business and any tech support. Hey, Lindsay, welcome. Lindsay, be sure to let people know what you do, because I know you're up to a lot of things, and it's okay to put a link in the comments if you want. So if this is your first time tuning in, or you're kind of like, well, I kind of seen the show but not really knowing what's going on, this is a business talk show. We talk about business, tech, and the user experience, and basically we keep it super casual, and there are conversations that are worth having. So that's what we do. Typically we go live Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I know 5 days a week, it's crazy. This week's 4 because we took a holiday, and your starting page, the page you want to go to later, is checkwithed.com. I put the link in the comments. That's the spot where you'll want to go in. Hey, Nikki, welcome. That's where you're going to want to go to find basically everything about me and what I can offer for you. The biggest ones I want to point out is the Hey Ed community. That's huge. You need to be in that if you're an entrepreneur and you're not part of a community yet. That's for you. That's where you're going to get tech support, business support, and just an awesome community that's going to be behind you and help you to keep things moving forward. So if you haven't checked that out, please do so. Pricing is going to go up for membership, so you definitely want to get in before that, but it's totally worth it. Even if when the price goes up, it's still worth it, to be honest, because you're not going to be able to get tech support and business support all under one roof for this low of a price for a whole month. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, even when you call tech support, you guys, I don't know how many of you have called tech support before, but when you call tech support, you get maybe 1 hour with them, and on average it's about $75. And they're only helping you with that one thing, or maybe a couple things related to that. That's for 1 hour, 1 day, one call. You're getting Hey Ed for a whole month to just ask your questions and find out where the answers are and what to do next. So think about that. Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay, for putting that in there, and thank you for saying I'm the real deal. I love it. So yes, if you guys are new, please let us know in the comments who you are, what you do, and it's okay for you to share a link. Just provide value like Lindsay did right there, letting us know who you are. That is good. So checkwithed.com is where you're going to want to go. If you're not on my email list, that's the other thing. That's a free thing. So you should just be on that no matter what. And then I give you a weekly recap of the episodes of Ed Talk TV, and then also just kind of what I've been up to and just kind of heads up on certain things. So those are your two things that you want to pay attention to after this show. Checkwithed.com, learn about Hey Ed, and join the email list. Boom. Super simple. There you go. Yes, Lindsay, thank you. Ed has helped me, and I paid more for one-on-one. Ed's membership is a great deal too. Thank you, Lindsay. Yes, I appreciate it, and I'm so glad to see your post earlier too in another community, which is awesome. So that's a little bit about me and the show, and what we're going to talk about today is we basically break the show up into random news, which today is perfect because it's going to flow into today's topic, which is all about that one post that can either make or break you. Now, we've kind of talked about this in the past, mostly on the part where it can make you, in terms of, we're all just one post away from going viral, to be honest, because you just never know what really, truly is going to catch on. Like you think you know, I think I know, that one right behind you, yeah, they know, they think they know, but we don't know. We can guess, but we don't really know what's going to go viral. And that's why we have to think about our posts. And we have to be cautious, though, because there's a balance where we have to think about, okay, I'm just going to post everything. And something's going to take off. Well, that could work for you, but you also want to make sure that you're paying attention and being mindful of your posts too, because they can break you. And we're going to talk about that today because a big one happened. Some of you might have heard about this one, but a big one happened today, and I want to share that with you. But first, we're going to jump into random news. Now, this one is going to be interesting. I will give you guys a heads up. There is some foul language in this video that I'm going to show you. It's a 2-minute video. The F word is used, and we don't, we try to keep it pretty clean on this show, especially because I know, we have parents and sometimes probably kids listening. So I want to put that out there that you might want to put earmuffs on or tune in with your headphones or whatever, because I want to play this video, which it's hilarious though, because it relates, I think, to all of us. All of us can relate to it in terms of the fact that what you're going to see here is this mom who owns a cheesecake business, and she goes off. Like, she just goes off on a customer that she has that she's basically texts. And I'll let her tell the story here. But what I think is really funny, and I mean, we all deal with this, so that's why we can kind of laugh about it, is we don't want to beat around the bush. Just get to the point. We're all business owners, or soon to be business owners. Like, we're not trying to beat around the bush. Either you want it or you don't. And if you do, then when and where? Like, let's just get it done. So it's a very interesting one. Yes, this is going to be a good show, Lindsay. So, hey, Paula, welcome. So happy to see you. And by the way, you guys, I got Paula's new book. I don't have it up here with me in my office, but Paula has a children's book, super cool, and I got to get that this weekend, and then I shared a live on my personal profile, and her daughter was in the car. I think they were in the car, and got to see it, so it just made that a little bit extra special for me, so thank you, Paula. It was really cool, so special shout-outs to you as well. So, yes, if anybody is around kids right now, you might want to put your headphones in because there are going to be a few F words here in this video, but it is pretty funny, I will say. Hopefully you think it's funny too. This is something I think all business owners go through. So let me go ahead and flip my screen over. And look, you get to still see me. Don't you love this? And we're going to play this video. Oh, let me unplug my headphones so you can actually hear it.
This is what she said. Kim! Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Seesaw! ... Always seesaw! But I'm home for the night. What the fuck does that mean? Do you want the fucking cake or do you not want the fucking cake? Just say, I would like the cake. I can meet you at 5 o'clock, Kim. Or, Kim, I'm not at home today. Could I get it tomorrow? Would you hold it for me? Yes, Ginger. I'll hold the cake for you until tomorrow. But this is what I said to her. Would you like me to drop it off to you, Ginger? Her response. I'm in the country, Kim. What the fuck does that mean? I'm in the country? My car drives to the country and the city. It goes all the way to freaking Dallas, Ginger. Do you want the fucking cheesecake? That's all I want to know. So she says, but I could go for it. ... Yum. Do you want the cheesecake? I'm not pressuring you. You responded to my post. Just tell me, Ginger, do you want the cheesecake? Do I look, I'm in the middle of making this cake. Do I look like I've got time? Come look at my refrigerator. Come look, do I look like I've got time to mess with your, look, I've got cheesecake, I've got a strawberry cake, I've got a turtle cheesecake here, look.
So as you guys can see, and I'll put this link in the comments because I want you to, take the time later to go check it out and help them with those views and whatever. But as you guys can see, it's one of those. How many of you can relate? Let's just say that. How many of you can relate? Let me know, even if you're watching the replay. Let me know. I'm going to put this in the link for later. But because there's more to that. But how many of us can relate? It's one of those things where, and you may not even be in business yet, but you may still get those things where people respond to your posts, and you're like, okay, cool. But now what? Like, I will tell you, I have those moments where I get those messages, and it's like, cool. What can I help you with? And then it's all quiet. I'm like, all right, but you just reached out to me. So, okay. Well, I guess you'll come back around when you need it. But, like for me, it's not a big deal, but it's one of those things where, we get messages and we stop what we're doing because we want to make sure that we pay attention to those messages. But then we go through this whole huh? What? That's also why I don't have texting for my business, by the way, you guys. For those who are new or didn't know that, I don't conduct text messaging for my business. It's all email. Otherwise, through Facebook Messenger, I'll get questions through there, and then I redirect to email because that's how I can keep control of the conversation in terms of organization and follow-up, and it saves everyone time, which also saves everyone money, right? So there's that. And so, when you're texting like this, that's when things get complicated, and that's when things really are, again, they're just a conversation. It's like, oh, yum. Yeah, I could go for that. Wait, but you didn't answer my question. Do you want it now, yes or no? If yes, where am I going? Understanding that part. Paula says, that was hilarious, but never post that kind of message. Keep it to yourself. And there you go. There you go, Paula. And so that's the thing with this post, and this is going to lead into today's topic. That's the thing about this post is that she had said that she didn't want it to go too viral. Well, number one, if you post it, you have to understand that it can go viral at any moment. Number two, you also have to understand that when you say you don't want it to go too viral, you automatically know it's going to go even more viral because you're trying to keep it down. But it's hilarious, and it's a rant, and so you're like, well, of course I'm going to share this. This is hilarious. And most people relate to that, and you understand that. And so it's just one of those things that, you have to be careful. And I'm sure she thought about this, hopefully, before she posted that. But it was one of those things like, it is a clear message that, when running a business, you do need to have things more straightforward. Like, do you want it or not? I probably would not have gone that route, but like I shared with you guys, I'll get messages sometimes where it's like a one word or two words, and then it's quiet, and then it's like, all right, well, I mean, when you're ready, just come on back. I'm not gonna get all bent out of shape over it because I got things to do and I can keep things moving, and you guys know where to find me when you're ready, right? So it's just knowing that. But this post, as we can tell, it's gone viral. So whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for her, we don't know in terms of business, right? Because you're going to probably have, we're just gonna dream this up a little bit. We're going to assume that you're going to have a lot more business because people are like, oh, you're the hilarious cake lady. You're the one that went viral for your little rant. I love you. Like, yes, I want to buy a cake. Where can I buy them cakes? Because I want one of those. It's a conversation starter and it's a lot of fun. And then you're going to have people that are going to look at it and be like, oh, that's bad. Like that. Yeah, exactly, Lindsay, right? Bad for business with conservative people. Exactly. I'm going to put that on the screen here. Then you have the other part of the spectrum where it's like, people are going to be looking at that like, oh, well, if she's saying that about Ginger, what's she going to be saying about me? So you have to understand that there's always going to be two sides there. And of course, you can't please everyone. But when you're thinking about posting your feelings like that, you have to be more mindful of, is this going to work for business? Is it going to be good or bad? And if you're not really sure, then chances are you probably shouldn't post it. But if you're still really wanting to post it, change it up a bit. Like, have a dialogue, kind of like what we're having here, right? Just talk about openly, like, yeah, I get, those random texts or those random messages or those random emails, but I just brush it off and say, hey, when they're ready, and they know where to find me, that super casual. It doesn't have to be, extreme, unless you're trying to go for a different look and for that viral stage. So, moral of the story is just be careful and be mindful of your posts. That being said, we're going to switch over to today's content, which is on the same topic, and I'm going to pop this over. How many of you guys, and for those who are listening, I'm just sharing the screen for the cancellation of Roseanne after her racist Twitter rant this morning. It broke this morning. So I don't know how many of you guys, if you're watching the replay, how many as well. Sorry, live viewers and replay viewers. If you're watching this, which you obviously are because you're listening to me, we're a little rusty on this Tuesday. But let me know in the comments, do you watch Roseanne? Yes or no? And what's your take on this cancellation? Lindsay says, bad for business with... oh yeah, I saw that one, sorry. Lindsay says, yes, be careful when saying negative things about others. It reflects on you more than them. Oh, totally. Nailed it, Lindsay. Nailed it. And we've talked about that before on the show. There was one episode where I had mentioned, somebody on Facebook, well, you see it all the time. Let me bring it back to me for a second. You guys see it all the time on Facebook, I'm sure, in the comments, when you're browsing comments. You see so many people, like, whether they have a business or not, some of their comments, it's just like, did you think about that before you posted? Are you sure you wanted to say that? Did you really mean that? And and there's just, it just doesn't look good for you, and you're only a click away from somebody seeing your profile and seeing your business or who you represent, right? And so that's a big thing that we have to remember. And the example I had shared a while back was, I was on Mari Smith's live broadcast, and I was commenting with others and just providing value like I always do. And I had made the mistake of putting in a link to a resource for them directly. And so somebody got on me and went off. I mean, it was just really weird. Instead of just saying, hey, just so you know, maybe you shouldn't have that link there, or just something nice. I mean, they totally went off and were like, get lost, loser, or something. And it was just like, wait, what? I mean, obviously they don't know me, so that's fine, whatever. But at the same time, when you think about it, when I clicked over their profile just to see, because I was like, well, maybe they're just being weird or whatever, so I'm curious. So I clicked on their profile, and they run a business, and their business is all over their profile. And I'm just like, bad look. Not just for me. I mean, especially when people know you, so a lot of people will see my name on the comments and stuff, so they know, I didn't do that on purpose, and that it was only for value, if anything, there's nothing else there. And I don't even think it was a link to my site, it was just to a site, and then I took it down, because I realized, that was not the right move, because, we were in conversation, and I'm just thinking, that's a bad look for that guy, because now everyone who goes through and looks at that, they're like, serious? Nobody's going to want to do business with you if that's going to be the way you're going to act online. So you have to really understand that we don't have, technically, a separation from personal and business, especially when we have our social media accounts. And we're going to talk about that here in a second with the Roseanne thing. I'm just going to catch up on the comments. Lindsay, she's ruining her career. Yes, exactly. Lindsay says Roseanne's ruining her career. It's true. It's crazy. And Paula says, unfortunately, not surprised. She's a major Trump supporter. ABC was wise in cutting ties. People were mean to you. Oh my goodness, bad choice. I know. Right, Lindsay? It was really, really odd, and the way they flew off the handle, it was kind of like, what? Pump the brakes a little bit here. Don't try to be like Mr. Security Guard, buff, I got this. Take it down a notch, dude. It's not even your broadcast. And I apologize for that. And Mari knows, we're not best friends, but she knows who I am when I pop in, and I'm always providing value. I'm not trying to sell myself on other broadcasts. So, it is what it is. But yeah, so as we see here with Roseanne, now I will say I don't follow Roseanne, and I'm just not a Roseanne fan. So this news, though, is interesting, and it's worth talking about today, because she's been around forever. I mean, let's just say that. She's been around forever. She had the hit TV show Roseanne back in the day. What blew my mind is the fact that ABC decided to bring it back with the original cast. And of course, I'm only thinking about how much did that cost? Like, how much is everyone getting paid? Because when you bring in everyone, all the originals, and have everything original, I'm like, dollar signs. Dollar signs, like everyone. So I'm curious really about how much they all got paid for that, and how much that cost ABC. But they brought it back. They apparently it was a hit, and I say was because we'll get into that in a second. But they were a hit, and it was bringing in a lot of viewers, and I'm sure making a lot of money for ABC. But given her her tweet today, which I didn't see. Let's see, is this the article that has it? I didn't see the full-on tweet. Oh, here it is. She said, quote, Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby equals VJ, which is the White House advisor, Valerie. Again, the tweet had been deleted, so that's just what this article from ABC, from ABC Entertainment has said. And she apologized, of course, went through and apologized. I'm truly sorry for making a bad joke about her politics and her looks. I should have known better. Forgive me, my joke was in bad taste. We've seen this before in terms of, I know from some of the articles I read, apparently Roseanne has this history, but we'll just say in general, hey Letitia, we'll say in general that people, especially public figures, will say things that don't get accepted, and they'll either delete the tweet and or just apologize for it. And then people just keep things moving. We see that a lot with certain high-profile public figures as well, consistently. And so when it comes to this, it was kind of like, bam. Doesn't matter if you apologize, doesn't matter if you deleted the tweet, you're out, we're pulling the show, and I'm reading now that they canceled the actual reruns too. Is it this article? After cancels Roseanne. Let's see, is it this one? There's two articles that I pulled up here, and they were talking about how they not only got rid of the season, but they also are actually canceling the reruns. Like, I mean, they legit are like, bye Felicia. Like, that is done. Like, nothing. And so it really goes to show you that one post can go either way. It's really one post either way. And I'm going to flip it back over here to me because it's a little weird, like me here in the small screen and then Roseanne right there. Like, it's just weird. So it really is crazy to think that we're only one post away from blowing up, but we're also only one post away from getting taken down by everyone. So that's the thing, like, we just have to really be careful of what we post and really think about it. And again, we're not going to please everyone, but we need, you want to share your insights and your freedom of speech and all that. But we also have to just really remember, especially since we're running businesses, that we are going to be in a different spotlight, and people will see that, and that every post is public, no matter if you put it on just friends or if you just Snapchat it or whatever. Assume that the minute that you post it, it's going to be in the wrong hands. Somebody's going to see it that you didn't want to see it. I mean, that's just how we have to think. And so we just have to understand that. And that's not to scare you and to hold you back from posting things. That's just to make you more aware, because it is easy to post, because it's just a couple clicks and we're done. But it's that after effect that really can weigh us down on there. Let me just see the tweets. Let me just see the comments. Lindsay says, certain high-profile figures. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yes, usually people let the tweet roll on by. Yeah, and so there. And I've been reading some of the comments on Facebook and on Twitter regarding this Roseanne thing, and it's very interesting the heated discussions people are having in terms of, well, why did she get canceled and like basically, you're done when other people are still doing it and they don't. And there's all this back and forth and that she has a history and all this stuff. So it's just very interesting to see and read the conversation a little bit from both sides and seeing what's going on. And then the other interesting thing, too, that you have to remember, we talked about this with the Toys R Us collapse. If you missed that episode, that was a really, really good one. We dove deep into that one. And this is kind of the same thing. Roseanne is the person, right? So that's her. And then there's the show. But then there's the team. And when I say team, I'm talking about the cast, and then you have the production team, and then everyone else above that, right? So, and if we want, we can flip it. Roseanne's up here, and then the team, the cast, and production team is all right below her, whichever way you want to look at it. Either way, you remove her, and everything crumbles. And so you have to understand, that's the same with us in our businesses, you know, whether you're a single entrepreneur or you're a small business owner with partners, it's the same thing. Everything starts with you and then kind of goes down the path, the pyramid, however you want to look at it. And so you have to understand that when things happen, they're going to affect your whole team. And now, and of course it's too early to tell what's going to happen, but now, the show's been pulled. All those people, the cast members, the directors, all those people, they now have lost their jobs. And they all have to suffer. So it's just really interesting when you step back for a second to look at, yes, she's the one in the spotlight right now, and yes, she's the one that did it, but think about what happens to everyone else that's involved who had nothing. Well, I'm assuming they had nothing to do with it because it was her tweet, not theirs. So it's very interesting when you look at that. Let me just read the comments here. Lindsay says, jokes are not safe. They aren't good to put into speaking unless you know it will go over well. Be careful when it comes to your livelihood. Yeah, jokes, it's one of those things, you know. I will tell you guys, actually, because it's not tied to jokes, but it ties into our conversation. I was actually hesitant of showing you that that video at the beginning because of the use of the F word. Not that, you know, we don't swear and that things won't slip and whatever, but it's just, that's not my style, and I don't prefer to have things, people, or content that has that going on, right? Because I don't know, it's not my style. So I debated whether or not to show that, and I was like, well, I'm hoping that everyone's going to understand why I showed it and understand that it ties into what we're talking about. And sometimes the conversation is going to have those controversial points, I guess, and those uncomfortable moments. And but as long as it's a teaching moment, hopefully that helps it out. In this case, when I'm referring to the actual video that I showed, not necessarily the Roseanne stuff. So it's one of those things that even I was thinking about that and trying to figure out the decision on that. So, you have to think about it. Lindsay says, you need to have a filter and communicate carefully. Exactly. Know your audience and culture and mood of the room. That's a huge one, Lindsay. Nice. I like that. I'm going to read that again. Lindsay says, you need to have a filter and communicate carefully. Know your audience and the culture and mood of the room. And that's a big one, you guys. We all have to do that and really understand, because if it was just us hanging out in a room, we could probably tell some funny jokes. But if we did that live or in front of a crowd that we don't know, they might not be so funny. They might be really, really inappropriate. And so it's just like when you hang out with your friends. You're going to have friends that you do certain things with, and then you have friends that you do other things with. And when you try to cross over, it's kind of awkward, or they're just like, huh? Really? And so it's the same thing online. It's a little easier to get into trouble, I guess, with the online, because it's just there. Just like texting. Texting's kind of that same momentum, I guess, where we just go. Whereas kind of with email, it can happen, of course, with email, but with email, you're sort of in a different mindset. You're thinking a little more professionally, hopefully, because it's not a text, if that makes sense. I know sometimes, like, I'll pick up the phone and I'll text one of my friends, and that conversation's super casual, and we can just say whatever, and we can just do emojis, we can do GIFs, whatever. But when I switch over to email, It's not so casual. I mean, I might still throw in an emoji there every so often, just because that's just like, I just want to lighten things up. But it's going to be structured sentences. It's going to be bullet points, and it's going to be super straight to the point, because that's professional. Whereas with the text, I still do that, but not necessarily in the same structure, if that makes sense. But I don't know. Do you guys know what I'm saying? Do you do that, even if you're watching the replay? Paul says, right, everyone loses. Exactly, yeah. So I feel bad for the team because everyone suffers because of that. And that's the same when we look at our businesses, is yes, you, me, whoever, we created our business and we're the ones building it. But remember, teamwork equals success. And we can't do it by ourselves. That's why we join communities. That's why we educate ourselves. That's why we connect with the right people and work with the right people to get to the next level. And we have to understand that what we do affects that and that whole stream. So, it's very interesting when you look at it from a different perspective like that. Lindsay says, it's wise that you considered the reason and purpose for your video of the show before you showed it. Yeah, totally, Lindsay. And I'm glad that came across too. Because, here's the thing. When it comes to sharing things here on the show, it's one of those things like, yes, random news, it's supposed to be kind of light and fun. But it also, like today, can tie into the main topic. But I also don't want to just show something just to show something without providing kind of like why behind it. If I just showed you that video, you could probably get why I showed it, but you might also be like, oh, especially if this is your first time. Here's a big one. If this is your first time and you saw that video and you were like, oh, Ed's showing stuff that's pretty foul language. This is not a show for me. Bye. And that could have happened, right? That could have happened in the minute and a half or so that I shared that video. That could have totally happened. Somebody could have clicked on, saw Ed Talk TV, clicked on, was like, oh, okay, oh, F this, and then it's like, no, bye, and then they're on to the next thing, and then they don't give me another shot, or they don't stay long enough like you guys have to understand why we shared that. That can happen. And that's the risk you run, and so you just have to be mindful of that and understand that hopefully that won't happen if you give the reason why and you use it as a teaching purpose. And that's kind of why I said at the beginning, hey, earmuffs, because, you might be around the kids, you might be having this just on loud, and I don't want to have that kind of reputation where you're like, well, that's just poor taste. I'm not down for that. Thanks, Ed. I'll just keep checking your website for stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of stuff. Lindsay says, yeah, email is a letter. It's not a text. It's true. You're so right. Thank you, Lindsay. Yeah, and that's why I encourage you guys to keep your business in email. I know as much as you hate email, some of you, it's one of those things that if you can just keep it in there, if you can keep it in your inbox, you can really, really run with having a good conversation and an easy way to find those conversations you need to look for. Texting is it's too casual, it's too 24/7, it's too much of a mess, and deleted text, and I can't find this one, you can't search it, it's not good. It's just not good. So if you're using texting, try to really get away from that and really only use that for like emergencies, last minute things if needed. Otherwise, get used to email and really loving that because it will change your business. Lindsay says, side note, Ed is fantastic at talking to people / responding to comments, right? Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. I try, you guys. I get that with my emails too. People are like, when I was doing customer service for one of my clients, people were like, wait, I thought it was going to take like 24 or 48 hours, and it took 10 minutes, if that. I was like, I know. I just like to put that out there just so that way, in case I'm super busy or it takes longer for me to research something for you, set the right expectations and then surprise and delight if you can. Paula says, can't get rid of us that easily. I know, Paula, right? Those who are my diehards know that it's going to be for teaching purposes. Those who are brand new might be on the fence and be like, oh, I don't know about this guy. But You can check the reviews, you can check the comments. I got my reputation, my online reputation, my social proof down. So we're good. We're good. Aaron, welcome. Context is crucial. That being said, I can't imagine any context in which Roseanne's tweet would be appropriate. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, you know. And even this topic, you guys, I'll be honest, even talking about this Roseanne tweet, without going too deep into it, but just the surface level here, I contemplated that too. I was like, well, do we talk about this on the show? Because that could bring up some really intense, heated conversations. And I was like, no, the show is about business, tech, and the user experience, and our whole thing is conversations worth having. We're just having conversations. So I was like, you know what? No, this is it ties into the random news. It's a good reminder for us to realize that we are only one post away from blowing up or getting taken down. And what happens in the online community especially is so many people are just looking at that one like star route. It's like, I just need that one hit with that 1 million followers. Boom, I'm taking off. I'm happy. I'm blowing up. I got, all the tweets. I got the texts. I got the champagne bottles. I got the car in the driveway. I'm living in the mansion. I don't know what I do, but I make all this money because I blew up online from one viral video. And now people just want to hang out with me, but I'm too cool for that. Like, right? I mean, that's like Instagram all over for everyone, YouTube all over for everyone. We hear that story all the time. And that's what everyone wants or thinks they want. And then we have to realize, but there's another side to that story. And yes, it's not as dreamy or as fancy or as cool, but it's the other side that we have to pay attention to. And we have to really understand because it makes or breaks your brand, which is your business, especially if it's you that's the business. So just understand that and think about that. I love how relevant today's conversation is. Oh, cool, good. I'm glad, Lindsay. Yeah, I love when we can have real life examples like this where I can just share with you guys and just go with it. I love having you guys come on the show and be guests so we can talk about your business and what you do and the struggles and the challenges and all of that. But when we don't have you as a guest, hint, hint, you can find out more at checkwithed.com. But when we don't have you as a guest, then I like to find topics that are like super relevant that we can just like talk and really relate to and understand. Like I said, we don't know what's going to happen to the crew, the whole team, from her. At this point, everyone's just done. Like it's just flatlined. Plugs pulled, bye. And hopefully, in the coming days, we'll hear something about what their fate looks like and what their next move is, which also brings up another point that we should discuss real quick, is planning your exit strategy. Whether you're a 9-to-5er or you're an entrepreneur, you should still always be planning your exit strategy. And now you're probably saying, well, Ed, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to tell you after I have a sip of water real quick. Always important to stay hydrated. So, what planning your exit strategy means is you should always constantly be looking and making notes of something that you can do. Meaning, when working a 9-to-5, this is the easiest route. When working a 9-to-5, you may love your job, you may hate your job. Either way, you should be planning your exit strategy. What that entails is you thinking of other things that you like to do. What are you good at? What kind of jobs are out there that spark your interest? And just make notes. You don't have to send in your resume. I mean, you can, but you don't have to. You're just making notes. And you're picking out people that you want to work with. Understand that before I left my 9-to-5, I was already thinking, okay, who do I want to work with after this? Who might I be able to hire at some point to do X, Y, Z? And I just made my list. And that's what you want to do. And if you're an entrepreneur, you should still be making that list for if things go in a different direction. You might have to pivot a little bit. You might have to pivot a lot temporarily. Either way, you want to make a list. You guys, I will tell you, I'll be honest, I actually haven't done it in a while, but especially at the beginning of this entrepreneurship thing, I know that I'm good. I mean, it's not a cocky thing. Maybe it's a cocky thing. I don't know. But I just know what I know, and all the personal development time and all the time that I've worked with small businesses, nonprofits, and just the stuff that I absorb, I know that it's good. And I can always have a job anywhere. Thank you. Like, huge blessing, right? But at the beginning, I was like, if this entrepreneurship thing doesn't work out, because at times it's really hard. No matter who you are, no matter how good you are, it can be really, really hard. And so I always kept figuring out, like, what's the fallback plan? I'm not going to have a crutch on that, but I just want to know. And I'd make a list of the companies that I would like to work for, of the positions I would like, of what I like to do, what I don't like to do, who's a good connection. Like, that's just how my brain works. And that's how your brain should work. You can train it to do that. And just know that it's always a good idea to be planning your exit strategy, and that it's not necessarily at the end of your job or close to the end. You could be planning your exit strategy for 10 years. I don't care. Keep up the work. Because what happens, and we've seen this with a lot of our parents, and maybe even some of you guys, depending on the jobs that you have or have had, what we see a lot of the times is, especially with our parents, like I was saying, is you'll be stuck in a job, whether you love or hate, for 10 plus years. And then something happens. So then what happens to you? What do? You haven't kept up with the technology. You've been stuck in a program. I'll tell you right now, this happened to my mom. I mean, thankfully she's retired, and so she's good. But this is what happened, for her, is that technology was different during her time. She worked at the same company for, 10, 20 plus years, and was always on the computer, but it was in this one accounting program, and that's it. So she didn't know how to, use Google and Safari and Pinterest and all these other Facebook. She's not on Facebook, but you know what I'm saying? Like, she didn't know how to do all this stuff, even though she's been on the computer for years. And so that's the thing that you don't want to do, is be stuck in a position like that. That's why you should constantly be having that personal development time. I don't care how busy you are with your business, with planning your business, or being a stay-at-home mom and taking care of the kids. You should still be have self-development time. Understand that you need to learn something. You got to keep that brain moving, and not just, like, whatever the task that you're normally doing. Like, you need to expand it a little bit. It's just like exercise. You got to work those muscles. You got to get out there, pump some iron, even if you really don't want to, and really help keep things moving. Because if your situation, heaven forbid, your situation changes, you want to at least have something to run with, to fall back on, to know what is going on, right? I mean, at least I do. And so that's what I want you to think about, whether you have your exit strategy in motion, or this is the first time you're hearing about it and you're like, yes, Ed, yes, I'm making notes. Either way, keep making those notes. Just put a thing in your notes, Trello, whatever you use, your calendar, I don't care. Just one spot that you can always go back to and make notes, because it's important. And make sure that you put aside some time for self-development, because it's huge. And that includes podcasts, that includes books, that includes participating in your communities, whether online or offline, whether free or paid. I will tell you, the people in the Hey Ed community are amazing, not just because they're amazing, but because they will check in throughout the day, throughout the weeks, just to see what's going on. You don't have to be there. It's just there for when you need it, but they continue to check in and absorb things and put things into motion, and then ask questions that are relevant to whatever they're working on. That's what you want. That's a community you want to be a part of, is where you can go in and feel comfortable asking questions and being able to pick up relevant information that you can then run with. So just keep that in mind. Let me just see real quick the comments. Lindsay, golden tip alert from Ed. Always be taking notes. This is true. This is true. I am always taking notes. Even my personal trainer was like, she was going to give me something, some piece of paper with with her notes on it, and she's like, "Oh wait, no, you take your own notes." So, and I just take the picture for Evernote. She's like, "No, you already got it." So I was like, "Yeah, I'm always constantly taking notes, even in meetings and things like that. I'm taking notes." What you're good at, who do you want to work with, who do you want to hire, make the list. So true. I love that, Lindsay. Good job. That's awesome. So anyway, that's what I have for you guys today. I hope that was helpful and that you got a lot out of this. Feel free, of course, to share and tag your friends in the comments. But that, the moral of the story is just really understand that we all are one post away from blowing up and being taken down. And we have to understand that we have to just really try to think twice, maybe 3 or 4 times before posting something. And then if we know it's going to be controversial, to really give a reason why, like why we're sharing it. Because that in itself can make or break you, right? You could have the most controversial post, but if you give the reason why, that can take some edge off and people can understand that there was a reason behind it versus you just posting, whatever, and then they assume that that's your point of view, or that you're with that person when they thought you were with somebody else, and things like that. So just keep that in mind, and hopefully we'll hear some good news for some of the cast members, so that way they don't all have to suffer. But it's one of those things that no matter how big or how small you are, things are going to happen, and everyone gets affected by it. So there's that. I hope you guys have a great night, and we will see you back here tomorrow. Same time, same place, and I'll leave you with this. Take care.